Hey, how's it going? So now I'm going to be talking about some of the top players out there and some of the investments that some of those companies are making out there. Just opinions, anything. Just there's going to be a lot of opinions and some numbers, factors, figures, right? And so a lot of opinions. Zuckerberg keeps sending me messages about misinformation. So there's a lot of opinions. Zaki, stop sending me messages. There's a lot of opinions. I like to base those opinions on facts, but some of those markets are moving so fast, so it's hard to do enough time or finding enough time to do all the research. So take it with a grain of salt, or to take it not necessarily with the face value. It's just some of the moves that they're making with but it can be very hard to predict some of those markets as well as some of those expansions that companies are making within the world. If anything, that's a disclaimer, right? So in this video, I'm going to be looking at Boeing and what Boeing is doing. Boeing is looking to expand and build its first foreign assembly plant. So it's overall good. The business is booming. They're doing it very well, especially with everything what's happening within the world. I have done a lot of research to understand of how much of the workforce they had to lay off recently. In particularly, France, Germany, aviation aerospace, right? France, Germany, UK's markets is something that I understand very well, and how much of the workforce they had to lay off in those markets, and companies became more profitable, I guess, and they're looking to expand. So if anything, they need to change the direction and perhaps fulfill different market needs. Perhaps we can cover those within this video and what kind of market need they are looking to fulfill. Boeing, the largest US exporter, announced plans Wednesday for its first foreign production plant to perform final assembly work. So it's assembly, right? So once some of those parts been manufactured, they can assembly. Yeah, the plant to be built in Tomomba, Australia, will assemble military drones, not commercial jets, which is Boeing primarily business. So this is they have large portfolio, right, of businesses, and one of those would be perhaps assembly drones. And some of the moves that they're making in Australia, where they're building a new technologies, where those technologies that they can attach to different buggies, right? The military vehicles where they can shoot those drones down. So we're building that technology as well, and we're looking to sell that technology to places like Ukraine. Ideally, they haven't made announcement that they will purchase those, but it's something that will been published that they're building those. So they're looking to shoot those drones down as well as they're looking to build them at the same time in Australia, as well as Australia is making a lot of investments into the military. So perhaps there's a market demand for that, especially with how much access to finance, how fat some of those bank accounts are in Asian countries, right? So we need to overall improve the military spending in other countries, right? If anything. Boeing's Defense, Space and Security Division. Space and Security, this is a division which is about to monitor space, and they are building some of the systems how to shoot drones down, right? So it's kind of the diverse, but either way, they to become it more profitable as well as perhaps making sure everything is secure and safe, which is a very good thing to do to protect the democracy, I guess, have been in most solid revenue stream during the difficult past few years for Boeing. The unit has reported 26 billion in revenue every year since 2018, while the company's commercial aircraft revenue plunged to 41 billion or 72% in face of 737 max crisis and pandemic. So overall, some of those traveling markets had faced a lot of challenges, and they're looking for new markets and new opportunities, and where they can. It's a business, right? So they're looking to make a profit. So to stay up there, stay profitable in marketing, perhaps building a new technologies, right? Especially as I mentioned, a lot of markets suffer a lot of layoffs within Europe. So they're looking for new markets and where they can expand, as well as develop new facilities, technologies, and where new opportunities are going to be within the future. In 2020, about 80% of defense business came from U.S. Defense Department. But the division does have significant foreign clients as well. The huge part of Boeing's main business came from overseas. In 2018, the year of the aircraft maker boasts record revenue of 101 billion. This is how much revenue they made, right? You can buy island with that revenue. 56% of those dollars came from foreign customers, just over half. Boeing's Australia operations team designed the drone, known as a Loyal Wingman, to be built there. The factory is expected to create 3,500 new full-time jobs by 2028. Currently, the Australian Air Force is the only confirmed customer of the drone. So currently, they perhaps government contracts is the only thing that they have. They do have access to, but perhaps there's more demand for that, as well as they do. Something that I'm looking at, if anything, they can deliver actually logistics, right? There's also some other problems there as well. So perhaps not necessarily needs to be limited just to defense, right? So perhaps some of it's the day-to-day operations that they can do that, and perhaps there's some value that they can capture with their business as well. But Boeing plans to export it to other military customers around the world, so they're looking to manufacture those as well to expand to those. Perhaps they can remove the person from the need of person to operate it or sitting inside the vehicle, if anything. Perhaps there's some market opportunities there. Most of as you probably know, you have seen the movies, and even the movies they're discussing the same thing, so it's not anything new. So people who are interested in fighting or defense, air force, or whatever, they can move the person need of the person sitting inside the plane, right? So person can always see plane doing all the work. So which would be great, more health and safety and protection of the pilot, I guess. So that would be air control, I guess. So perhaps they can offer a lot of value by doing that. The news come of the heels of separate announcement that Australia intends to build a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines. I'm going to be covering that in the next video, a little bit more detail. If they're looking to build it, or they which will use technology being shared by United States and United Kingdom. Here you go. I think I know some details. I don't know how much I can disclose, but I think I know some details of where they've been manufacturing, who's doing it work, and some of the market opportunities of what they're looking to do just to improve security of Australia, right? You never know what can happen, right? So they're looking to build those as well. Basically, as a power source, they're going to be using nuclear power to power those submarines so they can stay underwater for longer time periods, as well as perhaps defense, as I having some of the fireworks inside. I don't know, just overall interesting things. There was a time where US manufacturing giant made all or virtually all of their products in the United States. Boeing in all of the alone in the making that claim today. For example, General Motors and Ford both building more cars in non-US plants in countries such as China and Mexico than they do in the United States. So it's expansion, right? So it's nothing new, right? Perhaps at the one time when business was starting out and launching and taking off the ground, it's something that they were doing, but they're looking to expand, especially with some of the opportunities out there available. And if anything, perhaps they're learning from other players out there within different markets, right? So top industry giants, Ford is something that I have recently covered in the depth, so for people who are interested, as well as perhaps General Motors and perhaps Boeing. Sometimes they might be keen to acquire some of the companies out there in the market if they can, And by doing that, they can potentially one company would acquire another company, and that company would manufacture a lot outside the U.S. So U.S. company acquire a different company, and that company would acquire their manufacturing. Not necessarily Boeing itself would manufacture, but the company that they would acquire. That's where might be a lot of confusion coming from, but that's can happen as well. Part of the reason that automakers and other manufacturers build their products elsewhere beyond lower labor costs is reduce delivery times and expand their selling to foreign markets. That is not significant an issue for Boeing, which can fly most of their products, and it makes to its customers they can fly it, right? And we need to fly. Someone told them that we need to take it some of those planes on test flights. But either way, the point here is uh, now then U.S. is looking to perhaps diversify their portfolio as well as do a lot of perhaps more of manufacturing within Mexico. There's a lot of local governments that for some reasons are made to be. For some reason, it's a lot easier conquer those governments up there instead of developing those neighboring countries, right? For some reason, some people might be able to operate this way, so now we need to invest in those countries. And there's a lot of pushback of of the U.S. coming in and investing in that, where there's not necessarily have a port. Even looking in Mexico's port, they not necessarily have a local government there, which has and they need to develop infrastructure compared to China, right? Which is very organized. Mexico, it's bribery, everything. It's everywhere like that, everything. But I don't know. Perhaps at one point it was within the interest of some of the countries up there to stay on top. They might bribe some of the governments, whatever they can do, right? Lobby some of the governments, whatever they're doing, right? And now they need to work with those governments. So there's a lot of problems or issues that they're facing, especially when they're looking to diversify, reduce the carbon emissions, whatever they're doing to improve situation, perhaps. Instead of building other countries, we're looking to diversify their portfolio as well as building up all the countries, neighboring countries. For people out there who are interested in learning more, I have published a book, Project Fit Flow. Within this book, I'm sharing a lot of information with the people who are interested in finding out more and understand more about their body. Everything related with the body, that would be perhaps eating, working out, rest periods, everything if you are just starting out. I made some of those concepts easy to understand from entry point level, and I'm making it more slowly more difficult to read and understand this book depending on your skill level, right? So I'm starting very slow and I'm progressing and making it more difficult just because I understand the subject very well as I spent a number of years within the industry doing it, having been there, done it, understand everything. I have all the qualifications, so it can come across as very professional, but I don't want to make it too technical, so it's easier to understand for people who are not necessarily within the industry. You can find it in the description below, as well as Top Retailers has this book. Boeing already had its largest non-US operations in Australia with about 4,000 employees, some of the doing pre-assembly work on the parts that are shipped to companies in US where they assembly. But either way, it also has facilities in China, which was set up to compete with international and financial painting of the 737 MAX commercial jets. It's selling there. The part of reason for locating the plant there was to place the Chinese government, which must sign off on the jet sales into the country. Right. So they had to set up just because of legal forms. But either way, it's interesting. I find it interesting. The Chinese are European and US markets are very developed when it comes to aircrafts, and so it's very developed, very long. It took a lot of finance, a lot of subsidies coming from the taxpayers. So it took hundreds of years to develop this market, right? As well as technology, all the infrastructure. It took so much energy, so much resources within Europe and US to develop those markets. And China right now they're building their own. So uh, so I understand Spain. I understand the Spain very very well. If anything, I understand it. I understand sometimes the way how it can pop up new players and the way how it can work. I understand it. So if anything, I feel the pain with the rest of people out there who from coming from manufacturing backgrounds, right? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.